nice cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate or whatever you want to consume during the call. Most importantly, folks, take some notes. This is something we only do on a once a month basis, that we get together like this. What we call this is a Zoom-tacular for those of you who are new. And what we do is we bring you the best and the brightest people that we can, people that have been successful in our company. Folks, please mute yourself background. And we're hearing somebody else talk right now. Okay. Janet, if you can go on mute, please. Janet Spear. Thank you. Anyhow, we bring you the best and the brightest of Immunotech research, and we occasionally bring you some outside speakers as well. We've had, for example, Dr. Tracy Jones join us. Tracy Jones is not only a graduate of the Air Force Academy, but she's also runs tremendous books in Pennsylvania, a very large book company of self-development books, been in business many, many years. Her dad started. Her dad was a legend in the self-development world, helped to create the whole industry. We've had Tracy on speaking to us about leadership, and periodically we have Tracy back as a guest. We've had Bob Palmer on. Bob is an expert in leadership development. He works with many Canadian Olympic athletes, many athletes around the world for that matter, and also with CEOs of companies. And we've done some special things with both of them. We've had some breakout groups that have worked with both of them, for example. And once again, from time to time, we bring in outside people. But for the most part, this is Immunotech. We get together, we talk about Immunotech, we talk about our great product, and we talk about our legacy, which is, 46 years in the making of Immunocal. So we always bring in the great John Mulson, one of the co-founders of this company, a man with tremendous, tremendous vision. So you'll be meeting John today as one of many great guests that you're going to hear. So once again, sit back. It's probably cold. You're probably not going anywhere. If you are, bundle up and let's have some fun today. So, hey, my first guests today are a really special team. They've become very dear friends of mine. They live down in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And it's a mom and son team. They're building a tremendous organization. Every single month, their business has been growing now for well over the last year. The younger version is, I kid him all the time. The other day, I was on a call with him and I said, Jean, do you shave yet? And I think he does, actually, but I was giving him a hard time. Not that I should talk. I'm 59. I barely can grow a beard. So anyway, but he's a great young man. He's inspirational. He knows social media extremely well, and he's building a dynamic business. His mom has been in the industry of direct selling for many, many years, spent a number of years with one of the leading cosmetic company in the network marketing space. So a tremendous amount of experience. She's mentored her son, and they've built a tremendous team. So I want to bring on Mr. Giancarlo Torres and his mom, Mary Lou Sanchez Torres, and introduce them. And they're going to share somehow they work as a team. And I'll interject a couple of questions here probably as we go. Giancarlo, Mary Lou, welcome to the call. Welcome.
Thank you,
John. Thanks for the invite. It's always a pleasure.
Super excited to be with all of you, 80 participants. Awesome.
So let's start at the top, okay? The very top. The reason why Giancarlo is the first speaker today, along with Mary Lou's, is that after this call, in his discipleship, okay, with the church that he belongs to, he's actually doing a meeting with people in Brazil to give you an idea about self-development and the skill sets that this young man not only possesses but continues to grow in. And I've watched him grow the last couple of years, and it's been my honor to watch you from a distance, my friend. So continue good success. So anyway, on to that. Let's talk about Immunotech, wherever you guys want to start, and how you work together as a mom and son.
Well, I never in my dreams did I ever think that eventually when I started this journey, I would have him as my right hand. Like you mentioned, John, the reason why I started network marketing was because I had priorities. Even before I got married, my husband and I, we had spoken. The moment we started a family, I wanted to stay home. I did not want somebody else to enjoy my daughter's first steps, the first words. That was clear the moment we started a family, which was not planned. It was actually a surprise. That was the first thing we talked about. I was staying home. And we know that life is expensive. Bringing a child to this world is expensive. And that's how I started my journey. And it was really something that was a part-time. It was fun. It just paid the extra bills. And it was quite a journey. You know, I grew up in so many ways. I had never had experience before. Learned from top leaders that, you know, they still work in this industry. And life, you know, changed, and we came about with this wonderful company that's called Immunotech. And because of my story, you know, Giancarlo then came aboard, and it's been great. I've been a homeschooling mom for 12 years, so I thought I knew my child.
No.
But working in this industry has been
Awesome.
So it's been so awesome. That's the word, so awesome, because this has been his university.
Yep.
It has been his school in so many ways.
Yep.
We were close before, but now we've drawn even closer working this, and it really has been a blessing.
Absolutely. So my story is, as many of you know already, you know, I started at 19. You know, I'd always considered myself a hard worker in everything I did, but I had not found my vehicle, you know, where I think my talents would be used best. And in this process of, you know, failing forward, like I always call it, she gets ill. Immunocal comes into our lives, and we're so grateful, you know, to this day. Week later, from being in bed a whole year, she wakes up on Sunday morning. I'm sorry, I wake up on Sunday morning and I see her cleaning, cooking, organizing. And this was in Florida. And she was like, hey, you know, I want to go walk at the beach. So that was my first impression on this product. And after being, you know, a raving fan customer for 6 months or so, they said, hey, look, there's an opportunity behind this. I think you should check it out. And, you know, I probably had $50 in my name. So I said, hey, you know, I really want to check this business out since, you know, I was sold the product. And I remember one of my mentors, my platinum Jim Spencer, he gave the meeting. And that when I was like, wow, this is an amazing project. So I remember I started with a credit card, John. I started the business. I had no idea how to do network marketing, but I had two things in which I think everybody that's here should write down. I had a big desire and I was coachable. Let me repeat that. I had a big desire and I was coachable. And with time, I realized that's all you needed to start. And so a couple months later, my executive diamond, Candy Paltridge, says, you should come to the convention in Long Beach, California, which, John, I think that's where I met you for the first time. And, you know, again, I got another credit card. So I bought the ticket. I bought everything. You know, I was eating, you know, just cheaper foods. But, you know, I was super excited to be there. Super, super excited. And that's when I made the decision to be a network market professional with Immunotech. And, you know, I don't think we ever imagined to be where we are now. But, you know, it's funny, yesterday, and I think I have a consultant here, Victor Vasquez, who him and his wife on Helicar are absolutely killing it. He told me something yesterday, and I think it's, John, what you and I have felt, what Mom and I have felt, what my other consultant, Juliana, has felt, and all my others, you know, like consultants have been feeling. He told me yesterday, Giancarlo, we're having so much fun. And I said, yeah, that's right. We're having so much fun. And, you know, he's bringing culture, he's bringing recruits. And I can say that for these past 4 years, we've been having so much fun. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, just my story a little bit.
So let me ask you this for all the moms that have children that hopefully will get into our company and our industry. And if they don't get in our company, hopefully our industry, Mary Luz. When do you put the mom hat back on with Giancarlo versus the upline hat?
Wow.
That's a great question. You know, it's interesting. I don't think I ever take my mom hat off, but there is something that has been clear since the beginning. You know, even though my mom hat is there all the time, I've always respected my kids. I've always respected their desires, their goals, their personalities. I mean, because everybody who has a family knows that you can have 10 kids and these are 10 different worlds. So getting to understand their personalities, knowing how they work, being a homeschooling mom for 12 years, you would think I know how they work, right? But overall respect. We've always been trying to. Giancarlo would actually love network marketing the way he does, but in this process, we disagree.
Yeah,
probably,
weekly.
Weekly. We disagree, but it's nothing that makes us mad. It's just like, hey,
it makes us stronger.
Yeah, no, and sometimes I can say something and he says, I don't think you're right. I think we could do this better, but it's all about changing ideas. So, he respects me, I respect him. And sometimes it's like, okay, I agree to disagree and I'm still doing it my way. And I even still respect that. And maybe at the end, he'll show me that his idea is better. And I think that doing that together has made us stronger. Our team is doing fantastic because we're always open to these ideas. Like Giancarlo says, we fail forward. Sometimes we agree in doing something. It doesn't work out the way we want it to.
It's cool.
But we see it as a great experience. Now that we get new people in our team, now we tell them, hey, don't do that. We failed at doing that. We figured it out and we want to help you. We don't want you to go through this process that we already went through. So I think, Giancarlo and I, once again, I'm still the mom. I never take my hat off, but I respect him and vice versa. Giancarlo has a great quality and I can tell him he's humble, he's coachable. And, he never gets really mad at me. It's like, I'm not excited about that, but I'm still going to do it. Sometimes he'll say that. And sometimes he's like, I kind of disagree, but I'm still going to do it this way. And I'd be like, it's all good. And I think that has really helped our business, it has helped us form a foundation.
That's right.
To our company.
That's right.
And a positive one. And I think we've been able to help our team feel the same way.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, this is a mom-son team, but you have no idea what great couples we have in our team.
Oh, for sure.
Juliana and her husband, Victor and Angelica, and so many more teams that are able to do that teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So let me throw you a different question here because of your age, Giancarlo. You have been a trendsetter in our company with being able to use social media very, very well. You want to comment just a little bit on how you've done that and some of the things that you do, like your two WhatsApp groups, for example, et cetera, anything that you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. So, there's when you think about social media and network marketing, you have to see it in two ways. Okay. First of all, you think social media with your team. For example, all of our consultants here know that we have the WhatsApp chats in which John is also part of it. Okay. And John knows that we're talking 24/7, 24/7. We're talking, we're sharing. Okay. This could be a WhatsApp group or this could be a Facebook group. It doesn't really matter. Our team, we love WhatsApp. Okay. WhatsApp is like in our blood right now. But why is it? Well, it's not so easy to communicate to 100 people individually. It's easier to have a chat with 100 people and then communicate one message to all of them. Okay, that's a lot easier, and that's where social media plays a big role. So what happens with our WhatsApp groups? We also have other people from other downlines because they share a lot of value, and then little by little we've grown a great community. We have the Immunotech fan, which is bilingual but mostly Spanish. We have the Buno stream, which is English. Awesome. And everybody's sharing value and value and value. So first thing, social media, whoever is a consultant here, definitely open a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, whatever works best, and have that as your community so that whenever you sign up a consultant, a customer, ask them, can I add you to the group? And you'd be surprised how customers or people that just came for the product will convert themselves into a distributor just because they're seeing, the testimonials, they're seeing, people earning, just great money. Okay. So that's the first thing when it comes to social media is have a group in which it works like a glue for your team. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that people always ask the question, okay, how do I attract prospects? Okay. How do I attract consultants? There are coaches that are a lot better than me in this topic. I would love to tell you that I'm an expert. I'm not, but I do know a couple of things about social media when it comes to attracting people. Okay. to have an account just to share product or business, I've realized it's not so successful just because people are attracted to you, not necessarily to your product or business, right? So my thing is, if you have a social media account or you're planning to open a social media account, keep being you. Don't stop being you. Just do it more, right? So for example, I'm a big sports fan, big soccer fan. I like great food, technology. So my intention is to post more about that every single day. Every single day so that people know who Giancarlo is. But just for example, yesterday, the company sent us a super nice gift. What did I do? Put it on my Instagram and Facebook. Check out this gift we got. People say, Immunotech. Isn't that interesting? And I've had conversations. What is Immunotech? What is this thing that you're doing? Okay. And it's things like this that people start to get attracted with who you are. So my best suggestion for social media when it comes to attracting prospects, attention. That's all it is. The more attention you gather, the more attention you put into social media, the more people will know you. In this stage, so in 2021, it's more important who knows you than who you know.
Right.
So attention is when it comes to attracting people into your social media to recruit them or possibly get them as a customer.
So side note to all the parents out there with teenagers, with young people, recruit your kid because they know about social media. Is that right, Mary-Liz? Did you know all this about social media till he taught you?
Do you want me to share a secret with you? I taught him social media.
Look at John's face.
Okay.
So before I started with Immunotech, I was part of another network marketing company, and it was all social media. Now, because I was homeschooling, I was not planning to go out and do parties and do things. And I love the idea that I could stay home and use my social media to build up a business. So, I went through coaching. That's when Instagram was new. So it was all Instagram.
It was a thing, right? Instagram.
It was a thing.
Right.
It has changed a lot, by the way. But in that process, I was pretty successful in this company that I was with because it was all through social media. And my kids then started giving me ideas. And of course, it's not all me, but they started giving me ideas. So it was pretty successful. So when I came with Immunotech, because I was very ill, while I started feeling better, I was not planning to go out either. So I said, well, how about if I continue talking to the people that I know through social media and share what we have with Immunotech? So pretty much, John, I want to let you know, I became a diamond leader only through social media.
That's right.
Interesting.
With some people that I communicated, family members, of course, and friends, but it was mostly social media because I already have, an amount of people that follow me that I was able to communicate because we already had a friendship. And like Giancarlo said, social media is not about posting about a product. It's not about, and now we have rules that we need to follow through, of course, not to get in trouble. But it was about, people were attracted to the fact that I was a mom.
Mm-hmm.
People were attracted to the fact that I had time off and that, I was able to do things that I loved and I had time to be with my kids. So, that by itself was so attracting to many of the people that I have in my team that definitely I started those social media in the family, but guess what? He now is a master, right? So definitely, working together, there's so many things that are so much better when you have kids that are up to date on what's going on in social media.
Exactly. So there's two last questions. I think you guys have been featured in a couple of books recently.
That's right.
Want to mention that?
Absolutely. So for the ones by your background, John, everybody knows Leave Nothing to Chance by now, right? So this has been a great tool for both of us when it comes to our brand, right? So one thing is to talk to someone about your product opportunity, talk about your story, and then say, hey, I'm in a book. Oh, you're in a book. Awesome. So for example, in my social media page, I have featured in 2 books. So my friends that didn't respect me in the beginning now respect me just because I'm in 2 books. And now they call me for business advice. Hey, Giancarlo, I want to start a business. Can you help me out? Yeah, sure. I can help you out. Hey, Giancarlo, finance advice. I'm like, look, I'm not your financial advisor. Can't give you advice. But like, hey, no, but you know something about investing. I said, well, I kind of do. Tell me. Just because I was featured in a book. So this has worked 2 ways in my case, and then I'll let Mom talk about her branding and personal development, right? If you see my room, there's 1 million books, and I'm planning to have another 1 million books. And, you know, as we've always said in the industry, techniques can change, but not principles. And that's precisely what this book's about. I mean, you know, just the first chapter. Wake up excited for the day. That's key. That's key of having a successful day. If you plan to be excited every single day, you will be happier. And once you're happy, like Mauricio Domesine always says, you'll be more successful. So it's things like that that you have to read and say, wow, this helped me. So the more you read Leave Nothing to Chance, we also were featured in Moving Up 2020. It's around here. That's a business book, okay? If you were thinking like an employee, then you should read Moving Up 2020. Now start thinking like a business owner, right? So these things have shaped us tremendously. You know, it probably didn't pop up the first day after we read the book, but with time, we started thinking like Leave Nothing to Chance. We started thinking like Moving Up, okay? You know, which is in addition to our personal development. So works as personal development, and it's worked as a fantastic brand. And John, you know, thank you really for considering us in this book. So now I'll let Mom talk about that.
And we spoke about this before, John, that sometimes, you know, we're telling people that network marketing is a great opportunity for you to have more time with your family. You know, that's something that you hear a lot. But then again, we see a lot of people that start network marketing and there's no time for family because they really get involved, and sometimes they could lose their balance in what's important. So something that I love about the book, and it has been my principle since the beginning, it's to commit, but then again, to create balance. Because that was really the reason why I started network marketing, is because I wanted to spend more time with my kids and my family. But then again, you need a commitment. And that is to commit with yourself, to commit with the schedule that you have established for yourself. But then again, create that balance that helps you continue doing what you really love. Okay. And then, you know, and that's something that I think it's key. I'm talking in the perspective of a mom. I'm talking in the perspective of people who dedicate volunteer time to help others. Whatever it is that you love, you know, with network marketing, you can do that. You can commit without losing that balance.
Well, you know, one thing I love about you guys, one of many things I love about you guys, admire, is both of your commitments to self-development. So let's finish this. Oh, let me mention, by the way, the second podcast, you're going to find out about our new podcast series today. Foster Owusu is the first featured person. He'll actually be talking to you later today. And the second is Giancarlo and Mary Lou. So you'll get a chance to listen to a long version of us talking about books, and more books, and how books and reading creates leadership in you. But let's finish here. Giancarlo, I'm going to throw it to you for a second. Okay. We're not going to get any specifics. I know this afternoon you're speaking to how many people in Brazil? Did you tell me?
More than 100. Easy.
More than 100. Yeah. And this is about his ministry. He's involved in ministry as well. And, but are you going to speak in Portuguese or Spanish?
That's right, Portuguese.
So stop there for a second. Along the self-development line, when did you start to study Portuguese?
In March will be 3 years.
3 years.
So, keep going.
Yeah. And all self-taught, or are you going to school for it, or what are you doing?
So, you know, part of our ministry as a family, we decided to learn Portuguese to kind of serve in that area.
To help the Portuguese speaking community.
And actually, that's how I met Juliana, who's now a dear consultant of mine, of Gold. And it's been super fun. You know, this is kind of out of the business. But one thing is that once you learn a new language, you learn the emotions of that language. Mm-hmm. And that is amazing. So I think part of learning a language has been part of our success because it makes you happier. And once you give, you're happier, right? So, you know, the whole fact that we can give in the Portuguese makes us just happier. And, you know, we're just hoping that, Immunotech opens in Brazil soon so that we can help more people. But yeah, John, it's been 3 years and we're loving it.
And he's saying we, because when we decided to learn the Portuguese, that was something else. We decided to do it as a family.
Nice.
And I mean, you should listen to my younger child, Diego.
It's incredible.
We say that he's a brasileiro. He's already from Brazil. I never thought that my husband and I, because we were older, we would get to learn it, but we've learned it. The boys have been doing fantastic. But once again, it's like you said, we've learned not only the language,
but the emotions of the language.
And it has helped us expand in so many worlds, because let's be honest, sometimes we think the world revolves around us, but when you start learning other cultures and other languages, you notice that's not the way it is. So it's like you said, now it helps us expand to all kinds of cultures.
Wow.
And it's not about imposing ours, it's about learning theirs.
Nice.
And see how we can help. So I think this has helped big time in our business as well.
Great. Well, I want to thank you both. And Giancarlo, why don't you help me introduce our next speaker? I'll introduce her in English, and you can warm up and introduce her in Portuguese, because Immunotech is opening Portugal shortly, folks, if you don't know that yet. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who, you don't have to say all this, Giancarlo, you can keep it simple. But I got to give her the proper introduction, because she certainly deserves it. This young lady has been part of Immunotech for 25 years. She's one of the founding distributors. She, along with Keith Hooper, are the two people that when I joined Immunotech that I met 24 years ago, become a very dear friend of mine. She has an amazing life story, amazing success journey with Immunotech, and she's going to share a little bit of that today. I'm going to turn it to Jean for a second to say it in Portuguese, and then I'll introduce her formally. And of course, I'm talking about Sandy Walper. So, but Jean, let's just try a little bit in Portuguese to give you a warm up for this afternoon.
No problem. I have some Brazilians watching me here, so they will correct me if I say the wrong word. Mas vamos a dar a bem-vinda a Sandy Walper. Sandy Walper é das primeiras consultoras do Immunotech. Então, Sandy é uma boa amiga e Sandy tem muito que compartilhar com todos. Então, Sandy, my friend, please.
Um abraço.
Thanks, guys. And with that introduction, my good friend Platinum from beautiful Red Deer, Alberta, Miss Sandy Walper.
Well, welcome everybody. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I love talking to all of you about my story of Immunotech and my last 25 years. And I know that 25 years ago, well, I'm in my 25th year, so 24 years ago, on December 9th, actually, I took a leap of faith into something that I knew nothing about. And so, I mean, who would have thought that Sandy Walper, this little farm girl from Hanna, Alberta, would end up starting probably one of the biggest global giant companies that I believe is going to be here in the future. So, 24 years ago, I wasn't looking for a job. I dabbled in a little bit of network marketing. I was successful in those companies. But like most of us that have been in this industry before, it's usually the companies that fail the people, not the people that fail the company. So when I heard about this whey protein glutathione stuff, I got a fax over my fax machine at the farm. And I actually threw it in the garbage because I was a beef rancher and I seeded 2,500 acres. And Keith, you can attest to what that's like running a farm. 25 acres of mustard, so hot dog mustard, and pasta, which is noodles. And so when I got this fax, the fax was very interesting because it talked about 500 liters of raw bovine milk to make this stuff called Immunical. And rats and mice were getting better and people were living longer. And I had got the fax from one of the founding fathers of this company, Chuck Roberts. And I knew Chuck Roberts from a previous introduction, but I threw it in the garbage because we didn't have a beef herd, a dairy herd, sorry. And I thought that they needed my milk. So I really threw it in the garbage and came in and Carl came in from the Quonset. And I said, we got this fax today.
25 years.
Yeah,
just telling us.
We got this fax today, and it was from Mr. Roberts, and so he read the fax, and what he said, about the paper to me, is he said, if 1/3 of what is on this paper is correct, this could be a penicillin-sized discovery. He said, buy yourself a plane ticket to Montreal, you're going. And I said, I'm what? he said, you're going to Montreal to check this out. And I said, I'm going to Montreal to check out some milk stuff. And quite honestly, I wasn't looking for a job. Our farm at that time was probably $250,000 in debt. I had 3 kids under the age of 6, 150 head of cows, and I had a lot of work to do and no hired man. So I was it. And for a lot of you that know me, you know that I'm also a cowgirl. So I was busy out on the rodeo circuit as well. So I did take that plane ticket to Montreal. And you know what? It was the most moving thing that's ever happened to me in my life. When I met John Mulson, Chuck Roberts, Dieter Beer, and Dr. Bunos that day, I didn't have a single clue what they were talking about. All I knew is that they had a vision for a company. And Dr. Bunos and Chuck Roberts and John Mulson, they told me, Sandy, you can do this. And we will teach you along the way. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Now you guys have to understand here that my closest neighbor was 9 miles away. My closest neighbor was 9 miles away, and it was a 60-mile round trip to town to pick up my mail. And so this was not an easy job. And not only that, you guys, there wasn't a brochure. There wasn't social media. No social media. In fact, there wasn't even cell phones. So when someone tells me that this is a hard business, they don't know what they're talking about, because it was hard back then. It was hard for us to get out there and lay down the foundation for this company, especially for the fact that none of us were educated on glutathione, and neither was anybody else in the world. We were the messengers. And I'm just going to show you guys something, because I kept this for 25 years. And so when I left Montreal that day, I told them I wasn't going home without any product. And so I left. And this was the original canister of Immunotech that was taken out of the Montreal General Hospital. It's still not open. Someday maybe I'll auction it off. I'm just kidding. But we started a journey, and the journey was incredible. And whoever thought that a little ranch girl from Hanna, Alberta could do, and my family, and do what we've done today and all the accomplishments that we've made. I mean, I raised my boys, and you know, my boys got to go on every Immunotech convention. They got to meet all the people. And, you know, Immunotech came from McGill University. And growing up, I came from an immigrant family. My mom and dad immigrated to Canada from England, and they were the working class. And nobody ever talked about school. It was like, if you don't work, you don't eat. And so I always thought, well, I'm going to be working for the money. It's going to be a hard road for me. And then when Immunotech came along and I started working, and I said to Chuck, I think I can do this. I said, I just need you to promise me 2 things before I start down this path. I said, I need you to send me my check on time and ship my product. And the rest of the stuff, I can do that. I can do that. And so it's been, you know, I'm in my 25th year. I must tell you that this company has provided to my family all the things in life that everybody in network marketing always talks about dreaming about. And I have to tell you that in this industry, they say, well, dreams can come true. And you know, they've said a lot of things. Let me tell you guys, dreams do come true, and dreams have come true for me in this company. And all 3 of my children have master's degrees. 2 of them went to McGill University, and 1 of them went to the U of A. And all of their degrees were paid for thanks to Immunotech and my hard work and my husband's hard work. And the greatest gift that you can give anybody is to tell them the story about Immunotech, and tell them the story about the fascinating story behind Dr. Bunos and behind Dr. Kongshaven, and how, you know, there is not another, and I'm going to really emphasize this, John, because there is not another company. I don't care what company. There isn't another company on this planet that has what we have, and let alone another network marketing company that has what we have. You see, we have the precursors for glutathione. We have the precursors for your immune system. And we have 44 years of science. And we have a foundation that has stood the test of time. And no other network marketing company has what we have. And as you guys all know, our company's been expanding globally, and we've been expanding rapidly. And it's been incredible for some of the founding leaders to be able to see this. And like, you know, General Foster and Wally and Keith and John and myself, it was a tough go 24 years ago, you know, when you came out of the gate with no brochure and no Zoom, and heck, we didn't even have a computer at the time. All I had was a fax machine. But we taught each other. And just like Gian and his mom said, they shared information. And I burned the phone lines up, you guys. My phone bill back in the day was $2,200 a month. And so this journey of Immunotech for me and my family has been incredible. But more incredible than that, it's been the product that's been incredible. And we make money in our organizations off the sale of the products that take place in our group. So the more sales that take place in your group, the more people you inspire, the more people you help, and you can only make more money. And that's what I love about Immunotech. So, John, the next 24 years are going to be exciting. I don't know if I want to be 75 when I come on a Zoom call, but if I have to do it, I'll do it.
Well, yeah, you haven't aged a day, Sam, number one, but you're not getting off that easy. Okay. And by the way, what's the temperature in Red Deer right now?
Minus 40 wind chill.
So just for my American and other friends in the world here that aren't on Celsius, in our degrees, that's minus 40 also. So Linda Castillo.
It was 55 the other night.
Linda Castillo, I know, is on the call here. She's in Dallas like I am today. It's very, very cold here, but we won't complain too much. Sandy.
Yeah.
All three of those young boys that I met when they were about just about out of diapers are now grown men. And I think it's important to say this. Neither you or your husband, Carl, had the opportunity to attend university.
No.
Where did your three boys go to university?
Okay, so Michael and Jesse actually got scouted. They're from football, and they got scouted by McGill, and they went to McGill. And they were the first two brothers in McGill history to ever start on the field in their rookie years in the first game. So those two went to McGill. Michael did kinesiology, followed by a master's in physiotherapy. And Jesse did a degree in finance, and then went on to got 2 scholarships to Tsinghua and Beijing University. And then he did his MBA at the Huskane School of Business at the University of Calgary, was the youngest student ever allowed in. And Eric went and he did a biological and physical sciences degree with distinction. And then now is also a physiotherapy and writes the abstracts for physiotherapy worldwide. So needless to say, I'm a really proud mom of my kids.
Well,
because,
you should be. You should
yeah.
be. But let me interrupt you for a second. Do you think growing up around a culture of knowing they knew Dr. Bunos, they met him when they were little kids before Dr. Bunos passed, and of course John Mulson and Dr. Gutman and all the other great medical and healthcare people inspired them in ultimately to do what they're doing for a living in their 3 careers, because they're all related to healthcare.
Well, for sure, John, and I think. I mean, and I know John Mulson's on the phone. He'll probably get a kick out of this. But one of the things when I went to Montreal, you know, before Immunotech wasn't even a company, when each one of them, I knew John Mulson. I mean, who doesn't know the Mulson family? It's like the Rockefellers in Canada, right? So, and then when Chuck told me that, you know, he came from a craft background, and then Dieter, you know, came from Sony. And I'm thinking, oh my God, these 3 guys here are starting this company. I know that I can't explain this, but I didn't just fall off the turnip truck either. Okay. This was old money that was going into Immunotech, and they had a product before a company. Now in this industry, you never usually see that. Not only did you have a product that already had a 24-year history. You had people behind the company that were real people with real money that really wanted to make Dr. Bunos's and Dr. Conshoven's dream come true. And so how could you not join something like that? How could you not be part of that? And so it wasn't a hard decision for me to sign and join Immunotech. It was a hard decision for me to figure out how I was going to do it back in that day with 3 little kids and a big ranch. And I want to tell everybody, it only took 2 years, you guys, to pay the ranch off in full. And then we sold it. And then we moved to Red Deer, Alberta. We bought more land. And we continued our Immunotech journey and kept investing in real estate and stuff. And so I now have a new ranch out about 40 miles from here. And I'm right back to doing everything I want to do in my life. I got a cabin in the woods. I got my horses. I got everything I need, everything paid for. And I'm on my path to retirement, but I'm not retiring from Immunotech. But so, yeah, every dream did come true for me, John. I got 3 kids educated. I'm back with my horses. I'm living the dream. And you know what, you guys, I have to tell you that COVID's been tough on everybody, and it really has been. I mean, I don't know in the States, you know, but in Canada, every province has different lockdowns, different rules, different this, different that. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the greatest gift that you can do is just phone up 5 people and say, hey, I've been thinking about you through COVID-19, and reconnect with those people. And I bet you within a week they're in your organization. Because if you can make 100 phone calls, you know, that really counts. I really believe in that, John. I mean, I started my business from the telephone, and I am right back on the phone, because there has been a lot of social media, a lot of Zooms, a lot of this and a lot of that. But we got to get back to also some of the one-on-one stuff that we did. You know, we are the network marketers. We have to teach people the art of network marketing. And I know a lot of stuff in your books and that teaches people the 10 penny principle and all of those wonderful things that we all learned so many years ago. But we tend to move away from that because it's easier to just make one post in WhatsApp and you hit 100 people. Well, I also do that, but you need to call those 100 people too. A call is worth a lot of money to you. One call. I still have people in my group that joined 24 years ago that are customers. They have never built a business, but I've made $10 off those customers for 24 years. So do the math on that one, you guys. We have an annuity here. We have a wonderful thing. We have an incredible product that nobody else has. We are expanding our businesses around the globe. The company is doing over $200 million in sales. We paid out over $100 million in commission. I mean, my God, what an opportunity. I've never missed a check. It's never been late. And I just got to tell you, you know, every day I wake up and I put my feet on the ground and I think, oh my God, here I go again. I get to run my own business from my kitchen table. And that's exactly where I am right now, you guys, at my kitchen table. I got a fancy office, but most of my business is done from my kitchen table. And so that's why I'm talking to you from my kitchen table, because that's what I do. So anyway, John, I'll give it back to you. It's my pleasure, you guys. And just keep rocking, rock on, because you know what? Don't lose focus. Yeah.
You want to introduce our next speaker?
Who is our next speaker, John?
Me.
Okay, I didn't get the lineup.
Okay, I know. I didn't send it. Yeah, it's actually me. I'm just looking at my notes.
So it would be my pleasure to introduce you, John. So I have to tell you about my first meeting of John Solidor first. In about, I'd have to say October of 97. Am I correct, John?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was sitting in the Immunotech headquarters office in Montreal. And John Solidor, I didn't know who John Solidor was from Adam. I mean, he's like fishing for a whale from a canoe. So anyway, John Solidor walks into the head office at Immunotech, and he comes in, and he's quite a big guy. And I'm not very big, and here comes Big John Solidor. I go, who the heck is Big John Solidor? And they're like, oh, he's this big networker marketer guy from Lifestyles. I go, oh, whatever, right? Because that's kind of how I am. Anyway, he was a big networker marketer guy from Lifestyles who actually brought a team to Immunotech, who actually created the most successful team in Immunotech, and who is my network marketing husband now. That's what we joke. John is dedicated to his family. He's dedicated to his team. He's dedicated to the purpose of what we're doing here, and he loves this company. And I have to tell you guys, he's also my best friend in the whole world. There's lots of times I don't have an upline. I'm sponsored by Immunotech. And there's lots of times that sometimes I need someone to call. And it's fantastic that I can call John and he can help me and we can bounce back things off each other. So this isn't just one of the greatest network marketers of all time, you guys. In my opinion, John is the greatest network marketer of all time. So John Solidar, you know what? They even named a racehorse after you, man, and it was a winner. Anyway, welcome John Solidar to the call.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sandy. It's just weird because I never train on these calls, but I did a training call for my good friend Monica Hoffman out in Salt Lake City on Monday night. And I made some notes beforehand. And most of the time I don't even make notes. I just kind of go by, 38 years experience. But there's specific things I think you guys want to know. So hopefully you're taking notes. We've had a great start here. Giancarlo and Mary Lou's terrific job. They hopped off. He's doing that call with Brazil. Sandy, legend in our company, 25 years of service. You heard her story, 3 boys, super educations that her and Carl were able to provide for them. They give what we all want as moms and dads, right? To give our kids that next step up maybe that we didn't have in our lives. So thank you, Sandy. God bless you. You are a wonderful person and friend likewise. But anyway, let me get to these notes. So the question was asked to me, what does somebody really do to build an Immunotech distributorship in the English-speaking market today? So here's what I came up with. Number 1, and I hope you are taking notes, continue sponsoring new people. As recently as yesterday afternoon, I sponsored a new team into Immunotech after 24 and a half years of being here. Continue sponsoring. Never stop sponsoring. Why? Some of your old people age out of the system. Some people lose interest over time. They need to be replaced. So you constantly want to be bringing new people to the table. So continue sponsoring. Point 1. Point 2, lead by example. Now, we have a lot of trips that are provided for us in the company. Okay. We've got a number of different trips. I won't get into detail right now. It's all in your back office. There'll be more announced this week at the convention. Okay. But qualify for the trips as they come up. Lead by example. Even if you can't go, I can't go on a trip in September, for example, for a number of reasons coming up. And maybe there won't even be one, who knows, with COVID. But at the end of the day, I did qualify for that trip already. I will qualify for whatever the next trip is, and the next trip, and the next trip. You need to lead by example. You cannot expect your people to qualify for trips if you do not qualify for trips. Qualify for the trips, whether you do or don't take them, that's up to you, but you qualify for them and you lead from the front of the room. This leading from the behind is a bunch of nonsense. You have to lead from the front. Number 3, maintain your rank. If you're a silver, make sure every month you qualify silver. If you're gold, every month gold. If you're diamond, every month diamond, executive diamond, etc. Qualify and maintain your rank. It's going to also maintain and grow your income when you maintain that rank every single month. Point 4, believe in yourself, your team, your upline, and most importantly, the company. Okay. We have a great company. We have a company that, as Sandy just referenced, we went from 60 million in sales when it was acquired to over $100 million in commissionable dollars paid out in 2020 to all of us, the people on this call today, and thousands of others that aren't on this call, represented in 11 different countries around the world that shared in that $100+ million that Immunotech Research paid out. 5.5. Okay. This is a personal plug, but it's really not, because read nothing. I'm going to tell you to read Nothing to Chance if you haven't. Also read Moving Up 2020. Now, why? Not because I wrote those books with my partner Foster Owusu and my other partner Keith Hooper. lauded to those guys, both great partners, okay? But at the end of the day, we were taking all the information we learned from some of the greats in the industry that trained us. All we were doing is really compiling what we were taught with a little bit of personal experience, okay? Read them. You heard Sandy Wolper, multimillionaire with Immunotech Research, reference both books. She's read both of them. She's in one of them. You heard Giancarlo and Mary Liz reference them. They're on Amazon. They're inexpensive. You can get them digitally. Read them. Once again, take notes, and feel free to contact me or Foster or Keith and ask questions. Next point, point 6. We have a new video that hopefully most of you are familiar with, and it's called the 100yearsecret.net. The 100yearsecret.net. And what that is a documentary featuring two people that you'll hear from today, okay, Dr. Nancy Salini and also John Mulson. And what that really is a compilation of the 46 years of scientific validation, what I call evidence-based science, that John interviews Dr. Gutman, and they go back and forth discussing it. And 46 minutes for 46 years of science, okay? It could have been much longer, frankly, but it once again is that documentary, that proof. When you talk to somebody who says, well, my multi-level company has research. Oh, really? Prove it. We know our product has research, okay? Somebody says, hey, I don't know about Immunotech. I never heard of it. Once again, there's your substantiation, the 100yearsecret.net. Point 7. The gentleman hosting the call today with me, Keith Hooper. Those of you who don't know him, Keith is our upline. Keith's been in Immunotech as well as Sandy for 25 years, one of the real pioneers, Sandy and Keith, of this company. But, you know, Keith has put together a historical website with a lot of video content on it, etc., about Immunotech, about everything we've done in these Zoomtaculars, for example. For example, John Mulson has interviewed Dr. Linsman, who's the brain expert on Immunocal. He's interviewed Dr. Nathan Lewis from Orico, who is the sports nutrition arm of our business, so to speak. He's interviewed Dr. Corellis. Dr. Corellis has been instrumental in some of the strength studies on Immunocal. He's interviewed Dr. Patricia Kongshaven, the co-developer of the product. He and Jimmy Gutman interviewed her. All those videos are up there on XYZ Tools in conjunction with lots of other stuff that he's assembled through the last 24 plus years. So once again, XYZ Tools, TOOLS.com, XYZ Tools.com has all that information, okay? So I know that's fast, but those are some of the reference points that you want to use. Once again, continue sponsoring, qualify for trips by leading by example, work to maintain your rank, believe in yourself, your company, and your upline, read Nothing to Chance, and moving up 2020. Get in front of the 100yearsecret.net, take a look at it yourself and share it with people. We designed it to share with people. On XYZ Tools, there's even a 4-minute version of it if you want to use that as the commercial, so to speak, before somebody, you know, sits in front of their computer for 45, 46 minutes, okay? You use it as you want. It's there. It's free, okay? And finally, xyztools.com. Now, we have a new tool for you today. Those of you who were on the call prior to the call starting, you know that our podcasts are now available, okay? We put together a podcast called Leaving Nothing to Chance, okay? Keith's going to screen share that, all right? And what this is, okay, is a podcast that I started to put together on entrepreneurship, on network marketing. Went to syndication yesterday, so we are finally syndicated, which means, to my best of my knowledge, basically, it essentially means that we have people picking this up across the world that listen to podcasts, okay? For example, iTunes is now carrying it. Stitcher is carrying it. Blueberry is carrying it. Player FM is carrying it. Acast is carrying it. Pocket Casts are carrying it. Listen Notes is carrying it as well. And there's more to come. Castbox, Overcast, Castro, TuneIn, Google, and iHeartRadio is all pending. They should be approved this week. Now, the very first interview that we did was with Foster. I'm going to go to Foster in a minute to talk about this a little bit. But if you want to go to WhatsApp, I created a group that will release information and everything I just said there. All those different podcast links will be on there. I'll get them on there at some point today. But if you just go to Leaving Nothing to Chance, to Leave Nothing to Chance, the title of the book, Leave Nothing to Chance, okay, on WhatsApp. If you need my phone number, it's 972-259-0875, 972-259-0875, or you can contact your upline. They all know where to find me. Okay. We have a group there that will kind of update information. We've done a lot of interviews over the last 2 weeks. Okay. Some of them are people in Immunotech that you know, Foster, obviously. Second one, Giancarlo and his mom. Third one, buddy of mine in the industry a long time, legend in the industry, Jeff Weisberg. Fourth one, Arlene Lowy, one of the top earners, female earners in the history of the industry, lives up in Pittsburgh. And these are not people with Immunotech, of course. Fifth one was Dr. Tracy Jones. Most of you know Dr. Jones. Great interview we had with Tracy the other day. And then, of course, now I'm forgetting who else we did this week, but we did several. Patricia Karalash. I think Patricia's on the call. Super nurse to super distributor, and I'm missing one person in between there. But we've done 7, and this afternoon I'm going to be doing my my good friend and my long-term upline, believe it or not, going back 40 years, Mark Zuckerberg. We'll be doing an interview with Mark this afternoon. Next week, we'll be doing Joe Garcia, who's the top distributor and earner in his particular company. So some are Immunotech people, some are people not with Immunotech, some are going to be people that are instrumental in the industry. My friend Chris Gross, who owns Networking Times, we're going to be interviewing Chris as well, and a lot more to come in the next couple of weeks. So you want to get up to speed on this podcast. I'm going to turn the call to my good friend and co-writer of Leave Nothing to Chance, Mr. Foster Owusu. And Foster's going to give you a couple of comments and ideas how you can use these podcasts, not only for your education, but also how you can build your business with it. Foster, take it away.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. What a blessed day we all have. I mean, it's snowing in some part of the world, and we're able to work from home and to engage one another. But John, I think before we get into the podcast itself, you know, here we are today, we're talking about personal development, which is something that I believe it is key to our growth overall. There's greatness in all of us, but sometimes this greatness is sleeping and you need some awakening of that. And it doesn't happen without personal development. My personal journey in this industry started back in the 80s. And I was very fortunate that by 1989, I had the opportunity to meet a great American entrepreneur who was a billionaire at the time, and also the co-founder of the Amway Corporation by the name Mr. Rich DeVos. You know, this man tapped me on my shoulder. He specifically cited these words, son, you have the right posture. You keep doing what you're doing, you become great someday. Now, at the time I was young and of course naive. So, you know, the only thing I can say is I just believed everything he said. That was the beginning of my personal development journey. I got introduced to a great book called, The Magic of Thinking Big. That was my very first personal development book that I read. Since then, it's been literally thousands of books. So here we are today talking about podcasts as a new technology. Those of us who've been in the industry long enough, and for a while now, you know, we used to have what we call University on Wheels. And whether it's an audio cassette or a CD, today now we have the digital version where you can either download, and it is convenient because you can listen to this when you want, where you want, and there's no real restriction. So it's an app, and you get the opportunity to listen to a series of spoken words. And these are things that I would say is coming from individuals. I mean, the people that John will be interviewing, these are specialized knowledge. You're talking about people that have already, done what you want to do. So these are trailblazers that you're going to be listening to. He's not going to be picking somebody who has no specialized knowledge. So you get the opportunity to listen to this and, you know, in a very convenient way. But I'll tell you what, you would never grow your bank account without growing personally. I know this for a fact. It's interesting how this morning my team and I had a training, and people like Pauline and others who were on the call, the first thing we taught, and the only thing we taught today, was desire. That a person must have a burning desire. I'm wearing a t-shirt today that you can't see from where you are, but 22 years ago, when I got introduced to Immunotech, I had this burning desire to fire my boss and hire myself. That may not be your burning desire, but you need one. You need one to be able to rise above your current circumstance. You need that. Some of my friends did not even believe that it was possible that I was going to make a living out of this. And I can tell you, it's been close to 22 years now that I haven't had a job. For me, it was so important, but it wouldn't have happened without personal development. And this is what the podcast is going to do for you. You get the opportunity to hear from people who are going to say the same thing that you heard. Sandy Walper referenced the fact that Chuck Robert told her that she can do it. Well, you're going to hear from people who say to you, you can do it. I believe in you. But I can tell you the podcast is going to really enrich your life. It's going to be a great platform where you're going to learn from real pros. And I'm just excited. I'm excited that John has accepted this challenge. Obviously, it's going to benefit us greatly. It's going to expose and bring our vision to light. We definitely wanted to do the same thing that others have done for us, to leave this planet better than we found it. And we think that this book will definitely become our legacy. Back to you, John.
Well, thank you, Foster. And just along those lines, what these podcasts are dedicated to is teaching, and also getting people to realize that successful people all believe in one basic idea, that all leaders are readers and all readers are leaders. It's interchangeable for a reason, and it's dedicated to that. You're going to hear book titles, perhaps you're not familiar with. I forgot the other person. I got to mention him. I'm sure he's on the call. Wally Kralik, I interviewed the other day. I had a 59-and-a-half-year-old moment there for a second, and I was going by memory. So I apologize, Wally, if you're there. And more great people coming up. So once again, you're going to hear more about the podcast. It's new, and we've got lots of new tools that we're going to keep coming up with to help you build your business and enhance your life. So with that said, one of the highlights for the last 11 months, believe it or not, this is our 11th Zoomtacular. Might be our 10th, actually. I think we skipped December. But hard to believe it's almost a year that we had to be a little bit innovative because of the pandemic. And we had a major meeting in Montreal that we had to cancel. And we kind of brainstormed and came up with this Zoomtacular idea. And the guy who's been the rock pillar of these information-wise, you're going to meet this afternoon. But to bring on Mr. John Mulson and to interview him a little bit is Dr. Nancy Cellini. Dr. Cellini and John are both part of the 100-Year Secret when you watch it. So you'll hear them today, and then you can watch them at your leisure here over the weekend. So let me turn the call now over to Dr. Nancy Cellini, and she'll be introducing our special guest, our good friend, Mr. John Mulson. Nancy, take it away.
Thank you, John, and thank you, everyone. This has been just such an amazing call. And Sandy talked about legacy. I think she really laid out our next speaker and what we're going to talk about just beautifully, as did the speakers before. So I'm really happy to be with you all today. I hope you're staying warm. And I want to just take a few moments to frame this session. Because as someone newer to the organization, despite my background in public health and speaking and educating and all that other stuff, I am marveling at the unwrapping, if you will, the continued journey and discovery that I have with this incredible organization myself. And when I was asked to interview and introduce John Mulson today, I want to tell you that that is always a great honor, because by now I think everyone on the call should know of John's personal contributions to the development of Immunocal. But in case you're new to the organization, I do want to tell you a little bit about John and why we're so fortunate to have him with us today as we look ahead, yes, always, but also as we back up a little bit and take that pause to go, where'd we come from? Because I think you heard a lot about the roots of this company and the science behind this flagship product. And it is a flagship product. I loved what Sandy said, penicillin-like discovery. And those of you who know about penicillin, it was one of the miracle drugs. So was aspirin. And we are very, very fortunate to have Immunocal. And I just want to share a quote with all of you. Robert Heinlein, a very famous man of science and science writing, said, "A generation which ignores history has no past and no future." So we're going to take a few moments to explore some of the history of this company with John Mulson, who, those of you who know him, know he's seventh generation descendant of the founder of the historic brewing and hockey family. As Vice President of Research and Development, John played a crucial role, worked alongside of Dr. Bunos, the lead scientist behind Immunocal. And John, and all of that work contributed to over 30 publications for patent applications. I mean, the list could go on and on. We're a little short on time today, so I'm going to try to condense all this, which is always challenging. But John continues his role today, overseeing one of the most ambitious research projects looking at brain health. But his historical perspective should never be lost. We call someone like John in the drug development world and research, clinical research, the institutional knowledge keepers. And that is so important. So John, I want to welcome you warmly, and I want to open this discussion with you with a foundation of whey protein, because you recently said something to me that not discussing this product is like discussing air travel today without acknowledging the significance of the development of the jet engine. And I love that. We can so easily be distracted today, and we can lose sight of the significance of the discovery of whey protein that is combined today with the proper production, quality control, the product assays, and those, for those of you who are not familiar with it, that's ASSAY. It's a good word to have in your lexicon, but it may be foreign to a lot of people. Those are actual analytical measurements that are used in drug development to test and prove how much of the product is really reaching its target. Without this foundation, and I pause there, there's no glutathione story. And you heard Sandy talk about glutathione and the impact of that discovery. So I'm going to start with John Mulson, again, wishing him a very warm welcome to be with us, and tell him how happy I am to get to ask him a couple of questions in the time we have. So John, I want to start with a question that keeps coming up for me in a lot of discussions, and that's about the science behind Immunocal. In contrast to the buckets of vitamins that some of the people I'm talking to prefer to ingest from a large box store, can you take us back a bit in history and let us listen as you explain why the two things are not the same, the buckets of vitamins and Immunocal? Can you start by describing the legacy of Dr. Bunos's work in whey protein? And then I'd like you to touch on the value proposition, because I think that's our takeaway from today. So John, welcome. Loaded question for you. Thanks.
Thank you. And welcome to everybody. I want to ask you a question. Have you read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
Big fan.
So the key attributes that come across in that is that people that make discoveries are in a position for a reason. And if you look at Dr. Bunos was the perfect person to be in that position to make sense of what he had found, because essentially, the whey protein industry at that time, there was nothing published on glutathione. And the development of the science around glutathione was also just coming on stream. So Dr. Bunos, through his genius, had to understand mechanistically what was causing this reaction. Why was the immune system responding to these proteins? And one of the interesting things that came out of that was that, and this is a takeaway when you go into a store, is that when they fed these proteins to mice, and they fed the version of Immunocal in those days together with different other forms of protein, the nutritional profile of those proteins was all the same. And they actually looked at the blood of these animals, and there was no change in the serum proteins in the blood. So that said, when you go into a store and you see a whey protein with a certain nutritional profile, another whey protein with a certain nutritional profile, they're exactly the same as Immunotech, that has no bearing on this quote unquote biological effect. So one of the things that Dr. Bunos found early on through his research was that the nutritional profile of whey protein was unrelated to the biological effect of this product. So, these are incredibly valuable and pearls of wisdom that helped him guide his understanding of whey protein. And if you look at the scientific literature on Immunotech and Immunocal, you see the progression of how through their research, they started to understand mechanistically why this was occurring. And what is really important is to understand that, the first 20 odd years, we were very fortunate that Dr. Bunos was in the academic environment because he was able to call on prominent physicians who had models and ideas about why this was occurring. And, they looked at it with regard to immune deficiency. They looked at it in cancer models. They looked at it in aging. And he was able to piece together this giant puzzle to understand, the net effect of these mice taking the product, but also mechanistically why this product exerted the particular effect it did.
Amazing. So in the time we have, oh my goodness, there could be so many questions unraveled from what you just shared with us. But I think what's really important, John, is how do you, and maybe you personally, professionally, how do you frame this legacy of this work? How do you explain what these decades now, we're talking decades of scientific inquiry and discovery, how do you explain what that means to us as individuals? And then I'd ask you to, two-part here. What's the impact of us as people who are out there talking about this product? How do we convert that value? Because it's a hard distance sometimes to get across to people who may not be familiar with how research works and how important it is when you put something in your body. So two-part question. How do you?
I have a really simple way to think about it and a very defined way to think about it because, my background is in finance and marketing. So I thought about these questions from a marketing standpoint. And when I joined the company, I was exposed to the science. So, the beauty of my job is I got to think about these scientific questions in marketing terms. So let me ask you, when you think about Ferrari versus GM, what's the heritage of Ferrari? The heritage of Ferrari is these elite machines. You think of racing, GM is also involved in racing, but GM offers a whole variety of cars. And so if you think about Immunotech and the whole thesis of Immunotech from the very beginning, it was focused on maximizing, first of all, understanding this mechanism of action and then potentiating this mechanism of action over 40 years. So all our expertise, all the scientific experiments have been guided by that principle of maximizing that mechanism and understanding that. So I challenge you to find another company in the world that has the same level of expertise and understanding, historical understanding with regard to the mechanism. And that's why you've seen over a 40-year period, a company that's been able to put out all this research. We've been able to take it from an experimental model through to an industrial scale. You've had these research experiments that have acted like quality control over the past 40 years. You now have it being used in some of the top academic institutions in the world taken by some of the top athletes. And that, that to me says everything. That's why we were able to access those levels in academia as well as those levels in sports because of the quality of the product and the integrity of the people behind the product.
Amazing. And there's one other question I have for you, because I think it's an important takeaway, John, and distinguishing characteristic of this product. It has a standing in both the US PDR, physician desk reference, and it has standing in the CPS in Canada. Can you comment briefly on how that came to be and why?
Yeah, that's I mean, that's a loaded question, and we can talk all day on that. When we were a private company, because of the nature of this product, we actually formed a medical division. And we were going into hospitals, and because so many doctors were being detailed, we decided that since all these doctors are being detailed on the product, that we need to get the product into the CPS and PDR so they have access to the information. So people don't have to keep repeating it, and we're giving the same information. And so it essentially derived from us forming this medical division where we had Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement at one time, but with government cutbacks that dried up. So we closed down the medical division, but that's how that came about.
Amazing. So I would conclude that a product with this pedigree, with this legacy, with this history behind it, is something that I certainly am excited every day to talk to people about. And I've got a lot to say when I get that question and kind of the dazed look in the headlights of, why do you want me to take Immunocal, Nancy? Because like Sandy suggested, I have been calling people and I've told everybody I love, I want you on this product. And here's why. And I think John Mulson has once again really framed, not only historically, but also in the present day, so much of the value proposition that we can be talking about. So John, I really want to thank you. And again, you've given that integrity to this product, the lineage of the research, and it's something that I know I'm very excited about. And I think that excitement is shared collectively on this call and really worldwide. So I'm going to turn it back to our hosts, because I see the hour is going very, very quickly, but I could talk to you all day. You're a wealth of wisdom and institutional remembrance, and we should never, ever, ever, ever lose sight of that. Thank you so much, John. It's such a pleasure to interview you again. So Keith, John Solider, I'm going to turn it back to our hosts. Be well, John.
Thank you, Nancy.
Great call, guys. Great information as always, John. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to post a list of all these podcasts, and I'm having a hard time.
The discovery, and this, Dr. Bunos was the first in the world to publish on the effect of whey protein on glutathione. So they showed that Immunocal had an effect on the immune response via the glutathione pathway. And that was the discovery that was published way back when, and he was the first in the world to discover that.
All right, there we go. Okay, so John, thank you so much again. Nancy, thank you so much again. Great job as always. And once again, guys, the 100yearsecret.net, if you want more, it's all there for you. And listen, our next person that we're going to have speak, another remarkable person, Immunotech distributor, chiropractor, lives over in the United Kingdom, doing a great job building a business. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about what Immunocal does for a very important part of our health called the mitochondria. So let me turn the call over to my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey McTavish. Welcome, Jeffrey. Oh. Jeffrey, where are you?
Unmute. There we are.
There you go. How are you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Grand. Thank you very much for that. That was very kind of you. And I just feel really privileged to be part of this whole Zoom-tacular events that you've been sponsoring since last year in May. And I've learned a lot from other people, both on the business side and on the science side. And I think listening to John Mulson, we could listen to him all day long because he's got such great information, really. And I wanted just to touch on one thing before I get into it, but it actually is a sort of a seat into what you wanted me to talk about, was the mitochondria. And it was, she had mentioned this thing about this current pandemic that we're in with COVID. And I've got a paper that I dug up from the European Review of Medical and Pharmacological Sciences, which was just published last year. I believe it was in November. And it was, caption was, could glutathione depletion be the Trojan horse of COVID-19 mortality? So what they did is they were looking at a bunch of people, and they found these people who had COVID-19, they found that when they had glutathione depletion, that they had a higher mortality and pathological problems and complications with COVID-19. And when we look down a few bits, they did this nice little wee chart. And this chart would be looking at, you get the SARS-CoV infection, and this has this cytokine storm, I think Dr. Gutman has talked about before. But this increases what we call the reactive oxygen species, or oxidative stress. But if you've got high levels of glutathione that's active in your baseline cell metabolism, you can actually neutralize some of the effects of this particular virus. And if you don't, then there are other complications that have to go with that. And I think it's a good article that we could all just reach out and have a quick peekaboo at, because it goes to something called the reactive oxygen species, which is part of this thing called the cytokine storm. And so what we're looking at is, when we look at the effects of when we take Immunocal and how it is then utilized in our body, we have to think about it as, we know it as a master antioxidant. And then we need to understand, well, what role does that play in the cell? And we have to then understand that there are so many dynamic functions within the cell that we need to look at, in particular, something that's where a lot of this stuff is housed, and that's in the mitochondria, which is what John had just said. And basically in the mitochondria, you need to make fuel for your cell to function. So every function in the cell will need some sort of a fuel. So you liken it to, you've got a car, but you've got no petrol, you don't have any gas. And so therefore, how are you going to take your foot, put it on the accelerator, put it on the gas pedal, and go? Well, you can't, because you need fuel. And the process of that is in the mitochondria. And this is within something called the electron transport chain. So if we then think about, you have a cell, and in that cell, it makes your energy. But we have to then think, okay, well, what is the substrate of that? And that is your food. Your food is broken down into electrons and protons and photons. And this gets fed through this whole system to make energy and water. When you have those two ingredients, you allow the cell to be able to replenish the water that's inside the cell that gets evaporated by various mechanisms that is created by the mitochondria. And you also need to understand is that it also produces exhaust, because when you have an engine and it runs and gives you energy, there's going to be a downside of that, and we have to get rid of the bad stuff, the exhaust. And this is in the form of what we call reactive oxygen species, or in some of the cases, what we're looking at here is your redox potential. See, what happens is, in the cell, you have to have reduction and oxygenation within the cell as a balance. And when you have an out of balance, excuse me, you create this imbalance of too many oxidants and not enough reductants. And this is where we term that the reactive oxygen species. So when we're looking at that, I'm just going to follow a couple of notes that I made here so I can go through that. Is that when we have that sort of imbalance, we have the reactive oxygen species, we have to understand that it's also a good thing as well as a bad thing. And the reason for that is because they have various signals. but it's when we have the imbalance between the reduction and the oxygenation of these molecules that we create a change within the cellular structures and the function within the cell. Remember, we are just a bunch of collection of cells. So this is happening everywhere. And these cells, these molecules, they have a role. They can speak to each other inside the cell, and they can speak to each other outside the cell. And what happens is that we need to have a balance between those to get something what we call homeostasis. And the homeostasis is really what happens when we have these a health, an expression of health. We live in a toxic environment. And we've been poisoned for eons with various things over the ages. And now what we have is a lot of different toxins within our food, within the fabrics that we wear or we sit on, in our carpets. We have so many things that challenge our body in terms of detoxification pathways and energy demands, particularly with the new stuff called blue light, non-native EMF, and Wi-Fi. This really alters the dynamics of the system within the electron transport chain of the mitochondria. So you have to imagine, how can I do this? Okay, here we are, my phone. My phone is a mitochondria, but the outside of it is what we call the membrane, and inside is all the bits. Inside the bits, we make energy, but that energy is then sent to the outside in the layer, just that little wee layer here. And this is where your electron transport chain is. It's in that integral part of the membrane, and it's a bunch of these proteins, 5 proteins. And they all have very individual types of functions, and they are also triggered by various frequencies of light, etc. But what happens is that there are some of these proteins that will allow these hydrogen ions to go back and forth inside and outside the cell. But what happens is we get a buildup of too many of something what we call hydroxy radicals. This is a really nasty guy. He's a free radical, or a buildup of these free radicals are something what we call the reactive oxygen species. And the reactive oxygen species is what that article was telling us, is that when we have a buildup of oxidative stress within the system, then our ability for our immune system to be able to cope with already a big load of oxidative stress from viral attack, to not only just to try to do everyday metabolic activity, becomes reduced. Unless we have the one thing that we can offer people, and that is to allow the body to manufacture their master antioxidant so it can have precedence over the reactive oxygen species and make them inert. And, it was always taught to us that, okay, what it's going to do is it takes an antioxidant to take this free radical, this hydroxy radical, and make it neutral. What happens is that you have a reductant and you have an oxidant, and it actually lures them into an active site on the cell to make them neutralized. And this is kind of interesting, because what will happen is that bad guy goes away and the antioxidant is ready to then do its job again in that same environment. Now, this could be inside the cell, which is where we're talking about where glutathione is. This is where we're talking. But you do have these phenomena outside the cell. So we want to really mitigate a lot of the damage that happens with this particular mitochondrial function, because the mitochondria is the one that powers our nucleus within the cell, which holds your DNA. So if we have a free radical that gets into your DNA, then it can tear apart your DNA, and now your RNA has to put this back together again. And it may just take a U and put a T and make the whole ribbon of DNA slightly different message. And this is what we call SNPs. So when we're looking at how and what antioxidants do within the cell, particularly within this mitochondria, which gives us the power for us to think a thought, move a muscle, smile, do anything. The amount of ATP that we need to make in the cell is phenomenal amount, absolutely phenomenal amount. And every time we do make ATP through this electron transport chain, which is on that membrane of that little wee guy inside your cell called the mitochondria, we just happen to naturally make a hydroxy or a free radical. And it will be in the elements of how much antioxidant power you have in the cell to be able to balance out this reduction oxidation system. And when we run away with too much oxidation, we know what happens with rust when we leave it outside. Or we bite into an apple and we leave it out and it goes brown. That's oxidation. And this is what happens inside of us. And when people look at their hands when we're a little bit older, I'm 62 now, I look at my hands, I got a few little these white dots or brown dots on here. That's oxidative stress. That's not liver spots. That's oxidative stress. And if you've got oxidative stress to showing up in your hands, then you got to think about what's happening inside you and inside the cells that you're at. And everyone on this call and everybody that we know, it has a great ability to talk to people and say, I got something that can slow this oxidative stress aging process down. And that's something called Immunotech. And it just happens to have this huge amount of science. And by the way, it also has a business behind it if you're looking for, put a few bob in your pocket later on. So oxidative stress can be like a helper and a bad guy at the same time. And it's because of this balance between this reductants and the oxidants. So if we could imagine that, and imagine the fact that it's the runaway oxidative stress that leads to inflammation. What does inflammation do? It leads to disease. And that is where we have the problem with that. And so the dynamics of how glutathione works within the cell and in the mitochondria is what John's saying is huge. When you start tapping into it, my God, it's a huge, huge, huge subject and very complicated very quickly. But that's sort of the essence of what it does. It reduces the oxidative load in a cell based on this reductant redox potential across this membrane in the electron transport chain, which gives us the energy to think, to move, and this is the essence of life. But it also gives us water inside the cell. So if you get up in the morning and your muscles are stiff and you don't really feel fully fresh, well, that could be an oxidative load and also not enough water inside the cell. And that is because your body is trying to balance out this whole system and there's not enough antioxidant power to reduce the oxidative load that happens within this system. It naturally happens. This is why we age, but we can mitigate it by allowing a higher level of glutathione with Immunotech. And John, I think that's, the bottom line when everybody that I talk to about this, when they come into my office and they come into my treatment room, I've got a little wee diagram of the electron transport chain. And I say to them, well, that little wee protein here is knocked out by blue light and non-native EMF. And Wi-Fi separates all these proteins in this particular chain to slow the process down. And this is why it has such a negative effect on that. But if we go and have a cold shower, we go and we use what we call cold therapy or cold thermogenesis, it actually shrinks this all down and makes it more effective, because what we're doing is we're increasing the coupling, uncoupling motion within the system. So again, it starts to get more complicated. I didn't even mention deuterium and all sorts of other stuff because we want to keep it to glutathione. And that's how glutathione works, is by increasing the antioxidant power to reduce the reactive oxygen species, which is the lead into inflammation. Does that make sense, John?
It certainly does, Jeffrey, and thank you so much, because that makes sense. And just to make it real simple, right? Best thing you can do to help your mitochondria is
take glutathione.
And how do you take that? The easiest way?
Well, I heard this product called Immunotech. You should talk about. I'll talk to you about it later on. You may be interested in it.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, my friend. I want to hold something up here. If I hopefully won't knock everything apart, but during the call. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Jeffrey, can you see that? Because I can't see it right now.
No, it looks something
Okay.
foreign to me.
All right, well, because I got this backdrop, but what this is, guys, this is a package that some of you who are diamond and above will receive probably today or Monday. It's a gift from Mauricio Domanzane, our owner, and it's I just posted on Facebook. It's a package because Thursday night we're having a big celebration for diamonds and above that have qualified for this little special event that he's doing Thursday night before the convention. So good timing to him. See how smart our owner is, guys, who you're in business with? He knew we were having this call and it arrived during the call. So anyway, we'll give him credit for that. I think UPS or FedEx or wherever delivered it. My wife just came and put it on my desk. So anyway, I'm looking forward. I got elderberry here. I love this stuff, by the way. I'm going to eat this after the call. But hey, listen, we have one really exciting speaker left. She's new to the team. We're running a little bit late on the call, folks. I apologize, but bear with us. You're going to want to hear what this lady has to say. She's a wealth of experience in the direct selling field. You know, the pillars of this industry, the creators of this industry, and there's many people that take credit, and some fairly, some unfairly, but in my opinion, there were 4 great companies in this industry before Immunotech, which is becoming one of the greats. But the 4 that led the way: Amway Corporation, founded by Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel; Herbalife Corporation by Mark Hughes, the founder of Mark Hughes, who was one of my first mentors, by the way. Third company would be Shackley, founded by Dr. Forrest Shackley. And a 4th company, Mary Kay Cosmetics. Mary Kay has created more, oh my God, more success for female distributors than any company in the industry, frankly. And this next young lady spent 20 years employed by Mary Kay, but her introduction to that company was by the late Mary Kay herself. So who better to train you than one of the people that created this great industry that Immunotech is part of? And she's now ours. She's now with us. And she's going to share a little bit about why she's here. She's going to share a little bit about the region that she's working. And even if you don't live in this region, keep in mind, network marketing, you're going to wind up with distributors in her region. So you're going to want to listen to what she has to say. So I want to welcome onto the call, new to Immunotech Research, Miss Linda Castillo. Linda, how are you today?
Great. I'm great. Thank you so much, John. I am so excited to be here. I got to see a few of the past Zoomtaculars recordings, and so this is just super exciting for me. So my name is Linda Castillo. I'll tell you a little bit about myself real quickly. I know we're short on time, but I was born and raised in Dallas. I live about 20 minutes outside of Dallas in a suburb. But I have been in this industry for more than about 26 years. And like John said, I got started in Mary Kay. I literally hung off every word she said. At that young age, I was just enamored with her and everything that she represented. One of the things that she always taught us was the importance of staying connected not only in the corporate office, but more importantly, staying connected in the field, to the field, because you know, Mary Kay being a company of mostly ladies, she said, you know, these women are my daughters, and it's so important that you treat my daughters very well. And so I feel like she gave me that foundation, a wonderful foundation that prepared me well to take bigger and broader roles as I grew even outside of Mary Kay. But then here I am. I got a call from Immunotech around the same time I got a call from another company in the industry. And the more research I did about Immunotech, the more I fell in love with Immunotech's purpose, with Immunotech's passion. You know, this is a product, unlike cosmetics, that makes women beautiful on the outside. This is a product that every single person needs. And now more important than any other time, with all that's going on, and COVID won't be the last thing that ever hits us either. So we will definitely need something for our immune system. But the more research I did, the more I fell in love, and not only with our product, but as well with the opportunity, the compensation plan. And I've been blessed to have been associated with several other companies, and this comp plan is a very rich one. So, you know, I had this conversation with John Mulson earlier this week, and I asked him, what would be your rally cry? And he told me, he said, I wrote it down, empowerment. He said, empowering others with knowledge and giving them the tools to change their lives. That's exactly what Immunotech does. So, you know, after I did all this research, I told that other company, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to go with Immunotech. This, my heart just feels like it led me to be here. And so I'm excited. I'm here, new. My main goal is to serve. I want nothing more than to be able to serve, take everything that I've learned in this industry and partner with anyone that's wanting to grow their business. You know, being able to serve you guys, it brings me joy. It always has. I've never really left this industry because this is, everywhere I've been, I've said it has to be in this industry. My heart just connects with this. It's a social relationship building business. And so that's something that's very important to me. So if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to advance in rank, if you're looking to earn one of the incentive trips, I want to connect with you. I want you to give me a call, reach out to me. As a matter of fact, I think this is probably a good time. I typed real quickly can I share my screen? Okay. So do you see the states? Just to make it easy for everyone, these are the states that are on the western side of the country, the region that I serve. I have my email right there. It's lcastillo@immunotech.com, and my cell phone number, 323-695-6299. And I say this because part of being empowered, I love what John shared with me, and part of being empowered is not just empowering ourselves, but it's empowering each other. And so I look at it like the more I interact with you guys, the more excited I become, not just about Immunotech, but about life in general. And I want to be able to give some of that back. I want to be able to share the 26 years of expertise I have in this industry, learning from some of the greats of the greats in this industry, and share some of the tips that I've learned along the way. But also I want to connect. More importantly, this is a social business. And so I want to be able to connect with everyone so that we can empower each other. Mauricio, in an interview he did recently, talked about Immunotech being a movement. And I think that we have a wonderful opportunity to create a huge movement. And so I just want to be part of that with all of you. So thank you so much for having me here today, John and Keith. I appreciate it. Let me send this back to you. I think I'm not sharing anymore.
Well, Linda, I've got to ask you two quick questions, okay?
Absolutely.
Number one, okay. I've done the tour of the Mary Kay building. I've been in her office, via one of our mutual friends, Mike Lunsford, a number of years ago. Been through the Mary Kay Hall of Fame. What was she like? I never met her.
She was, okay, I remember in my first new employee orientation, I'm sitting in the back of the room because I was like a kid and I just felt out of place. She walks in, I was sitting, she was standing, and we were about the same height. So why I say that is she was small, but she was huge. She was big. The moment she took the stage, the moment any of us were around her, she had this way of making everyone feel bigger than life. She used to talk about make everyone feel like they have a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. But she could zoom everyone out when she was with you. And so that is an art that I tried to master so much when I was around her. She had a way of making everyone feel important, special, empowered, bigger than life, just to take on the world. And being a young person in my 20s, she's the best person I could have ever brought into my life because she literally did that to me. She did that for me. And so, yeah, just such a remarkable, classy lady, such a classy lady.
Great. And just the other thing real fast, I mean, you had other choices, obviously. You've been in the industry a long time. You've worked for, one of the great companies, obviously. You've got a great resume, great history on your own. Why us instead of some of the other people maybe that you were headhunted for? Why us?
Well, I did my research. I've been around a while. And so I would say most of the companies in this industry are great companies. And there's a few people that maybe have done this business the wrong way. But I really did my research. And Immunotech, I was impressed. I went on their website first. I looked at videos. I think I saw a video of you, John, on their website. And I'm bilingual, so I speak English and Spanish. And I was able to, what my daughter would call, creep troll the internet and just look for all the people that had posted things about Immunotech. And I was so impressed, just impressed. Again, one thing is the product and how it really can, everyone needs it. Everyone. I mean, I myself have had family members that I've lost to COVID. And I just think back, wow, if I had been in Immunotech sooner, I might have had something that could have helped them. So on the product side, we all need it. On the opportunity side, I've been able to see many comp plans in this industry, and Immunotech has one of the richest comp plans. I have seen people in Immunotech work their way up to a check that in other companies might have taken years, and in Immunotech, they've done it in months. And so I can wrap my head, I can just put my heart into being associated with a company that's willing to give so much to those that are connected to them. And I actually was drawn to Mauricio too. I think he's a wonderful leader. I know that there's so much opportunity, and John, you and I have talked about this, so much opportunity for things that can be done in this country, even, you know, with many markets. But I think that Mauricio has a great heart, a wonderful vision. And so that's why Immunotech.
Great. Well, Linda, thank you so much. I know you had a chance this week to meet with John Mulson as well, and I know that that's something unique. I think that for those of you who are new to network marketing, or maybe only been in the industry a few years, I mean, it's very, very rare that somebody who helped to found the company and do so much research, 20 plus years later, is still readily available to answer questions. So we've got so many resources, John being one of those great resources, XYZ Tools being a resource, everything that we're doing being resources. And, so once again, Linda, thank you for coming. Bienvenue, they would say in Quebec. Bienvenidos, they would say in Mexico. And welcome, y'all, we say in Dallas. And thank you for being here. You are doing a great job. I know you got great ideas. I know Linda and I spent about 4 hours together last Friday. Glad we didn't do it yesterday. We couldn't have sat outside yesterday.
I know.
We'd be icicles today, but last week we had a beautiful meeting outside at Starbucks, beautiful day. And anyway, but not this week. But anyway, thanks again, Linda. Thank you, John Mulson. Thank you, Nancy. I know Giancarlo's on his other call with Mary Lou, so thanks to them, and thanks to Sandy Walper for all these years, and Dr. McTavish. Thank you all. We'll have another one next month. We'll be announcing that shortly. We did put the coordinates for the podcast up in the chat room. Keith, if you can leave that up for about 15, 20 minutes, just if anybody wants to screen capture it. Once again, if you want to get on my WhatsApp group for that, leave nothing to chance. Send me a text or whatever, or if you're on WhatsApp, just connect with me, 972-259-0875. We'll keep you in the loop on these podcasts as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Keith. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.